World War II, a vast battlefield of blood, fire, and steel, where the fate of nations depended on courage, strategy, and sometimes technological superiority. Amid the roar of cannons and the sound of machine guns, individual weapons played a vital role in the survival and victory of each soldier. The rifle, the infantryman's constant companion, was the tool that made the difference between life and death. But in the Pacific, in the depths of dense jungles and remote islands, a special American weapon was destined not only to change the battlefield, but also to shatter the imagination of enemy soldiers. This story is the story of Japanese soldiers' encounter with the American M1 Garand rifle, a weapon that quickly became their nightmare. Imagine yourself in the shoes of a Japanese infantryman in the early years of the Pacific War. You are accustomed to your Arisaka Type 99 rifle, a reliable and accurate weapon, but with a cocking mechanism. Each shot requires a manual movement to remove the cartridge and insert a new round. Although this process was completely routine for Japanese soldiers and part of their training, in the heat of battle every second was of vital importance. In front of you were the American enemies, soldiers who seemed to be opening fire at an incredible rate. Before World War II, most armies around the world relied on bolt-action rifles. These weapons, with a long and proven history, formed the backbone of infantry. Their advantages were high accuracy, mechanical simplicity, and good penetration, but they had one major drawback: a slow rate of fire. Each shot meant opening the bolt, extracting the cartridge, loading a new round, and closing the bolt. This process was time-consuming for even the most skilled soldiers, and in close, fast-paced combat, it could be fatal. But in the United States, engineers and weapons designers were looking for a solution to this limitation. They dreamed of a rifle that could automatically feed the next round into the barrel after each shot, without the need for manual intervention from the soldier. This dream eventually came true in the form of the M1 Garand rifle. It was the world's first standardized semi-automatic rifle to be widely used by a major army. The Garand, with its .30-06 caliber and its 8-round, one-shot magazine, was to change the rules of the game. Japanese soldiers were initially unfamiliar with the weapon. In the early battles, they encountered what seemed to them a relentless rain of bullets from the Americans. This high rate of fire was not only tactically devastating, but it also had a profound psychological impact on them. How could American soldiers fire at such a rapid rate when they had to reload their rifles after each shot? This question remained unanswered in the minds of many Japanese soldiers until the shocking truth about the M1 Garand was revealed to them. In the early 1920s, the United States Army was looking for a replacement for its Springfield M1903 bolt-action rifle. They needed a semi-automatic rifle that would offer a higher rate of fire and give soldiers a significant advantage in battle. John C. Garand, a brilliant weapons designer at the Springfield Armory, spent years researching and developing his final design in 1932. His rifle, which would later become known as the M1 Garand, was adopted as the standard issue rifle of the United States Army in 1936. It was a true revolution in infantry weapon design. The M1 Garand operated on a gas system. This meant that some of the gases from the shot were used to push the breech back and eject the spent cartridge case. A powerful spring then forced the next round from the magazine into the barrel, pushing the breech forward to prepare the rifle for the next shot. The entire process was done in a split second, with no manual intervention required. This allowed American soldiers to unleash a steady, devastating fire on the enemy at an unprecedented rate. The M1 Garand's 8-round magazine was also a significant innovation. Unlike other rifles that had to be loaded one at a time, the Garand used an end-block clip that held 8 rounds at once. After the last round was fired, the empty clip was automatically ejected from the rifle with a distinctive metallic sound, a sound that later became known as the Garand ping and took on a special meaning for both American soldiers and their enemies. This mechanism greatly increased the speed of reloading. The M1 Garand's 8-round magazine was also a significant innovation. Unlike other rifles that had to be loaded one at a time, the Garand used an end-block clip that held 8 rounds at once. After the last round was fired, the empty clip was automatically ejected from the rifle with a distinctive metallic sound, a sound that later became known as the Garand ping and took on a special meaning for both American soldiers and their enemies. This mechanism greatly increased the speed of reloading. The first serious encounters between American and Japanese forces occurred mainly on the Pacific Front, in battles such as Guadalcanal. In these brutal, close-quarters battles, Japanese soldiers quickly learned that the Americans had superior firepower. They were engaged in dense jungles, rugged terrain, and banzai attacks, where speed and volume of fire could be the difference between victory and defeat. Japanese soldiers, known for their bayonet tactics and high fighting spirit, expected to face the Allied assault rifles, as they had experienced in previous battles. But what they encountered was completely different. The Americans could fire bullets into the Japanese positions without stopping. This not only caused more casualties, but also had a devastating psychological effect. The Japanese soldiers' reports and memoirs repeatedly mentioned this incessant fire of the Americans. They could not understand how the enemy could fire so quickly. Did they have hidden machine guns? Were they using a new type of rifle? These questions ran through their minds as they had to fight back with their handguns under a hail of bullets. Every time a Japanese soldier drew his rifle, another bullet or two was fired at him by the Americans. This firepower advantage allowed the Americans to gain a significant tactical advantage in close combat. They could lay down suppressive fire, pin down the enemy, and then maneuver to attack Japanese positions. These tactics, made much more effective with the Garand, gradually established American superiority in the Pacific. Amidst the chaos of the battle, the secret of the M1 Garand gradually became apparent to Japanese soldiers. The discovery came not through official intelligence or intelligence reports, but rather in the horror and grim realities of the battlefield. The Japanese soldiers, initially confused by the volume of American fire, began to notice patterns. They would notice a distinct, metallic ping sound that would be heard after a few rounds were fired from the Americans. The sound, which at first seemed meaningless to them, gradually became an ominous sign. The ping Garand was the sound of an empty 8-round clip being ejected from the M1 Garand rifle. To American soldiers, the sound was a signal that their rifle was empty and it was time to reload. But to Japanese soldiers, the sound meant a brief window of opportunity. They gradually learned that after hearing this ping, for a few brief seconds, the American soldier was reloading his rifle and was at his most vulnerable. This discovery, while giving the Japanese a small tactical advantage, also showed them the depth of their enemy's technological superiority. Imagine hiding in a trench, bullets whizzing overhead. You fire carefully, then hastily draw the barrel of your Arisaka rifle to prepare for the next round. But the enemy fires without stopping. Then, there's a ping. A moment of relative silence, a brief opportunity to catch your breath or perhaps even advance. But this opportunity is evidence of the superiority of the enemy's weapon. A weapon that can fire at an incredible rate, without the need for manual intervention. This fact had a profound psychological impact on the Japanese soldiers. They, who prided themselves on their morale and determination, were now facing an enemy who had a significant advantage not only in numbers but also in technology. This advantage was evident in every battle and every engagement. The Japanese soldiers had to withstand the volume of fire produced by the semi-automatic M1 Garand rifles with their stun guns. This difference in firepower meant greater casualties for the Japanese forces. In close combat, where speed of reaction and volume of fire were crucial, the M1 Garand allowed the Americans to quickly gain the upper hand. Even when Japanese soldiers managed to close in on American positions, they were met with relentless Garand fire that often broke up their attacks. In their memoirs and post-war reports, many Japanese soldiers referred to these American automatic rifles. They considered the weapon to be so effective not only for its lethality but also for its semi-automatic mechanism, which was unknown to them. The weapon became a symbol of American industrial power and innovation, a power that Japan lacked. The M1 Garand's impact extended beyond the battlefield. The weapon became a key factor in the Japanese strategic analysis. They realized that they could not overcome such a technological advantage by sheer bravery and sacrifice. This realization gradually influenced their tactics, forcing them to seek ways to deal with this new threat, including night attacks and the use of dense vegetation to reduce the effectiveness of American fire. The ping Garand, which had originally been a mysterious sound, had now become a warning, a bitter reminder of the enemy's superiority and a symbol of the inevitable fate of the war. In the silence after the shot, this sound reminded the Japanese soldiers that they were facing a weapon that had changed the rules of the game. This moment of discovery was not only a turning point in their understanding of the enemy, but also signaled the beginning of the end for the Japanese Empire in the Pacific. The firepower of the M1 Garand had a profound impact on tactics on both sides, not only in the early Pacific battles but throughout the war. For American soldiers, the Garand meant increased confidence and maneuverability. They knew they could produce a greater volume of fire than the enemy, which was a huge psychological and practical advantage. The weapon allowed them to advance more confidently, suppress enemy positions, and provide effective covering fire for their comrades when needed. For Japanese soldiers, on the other hand, the M1 Garand became a key factor in changing their tactics. They found that direct, banzai attacks were too costly against the volume of Garand fire. This realization forced them to look for new ways to counter. Among these changes was the increase in night attacks. In the darkness of night, the Garand's firepower was somewhat reduced, and Japanese soldiers could approach American forces using knives, bayonets, and hand grenades. The Japanese also focused more on creating strong, hidden defensive positions deep in the jungle. They built underground bunkers, camouflaged trenches, and intricate tunnels to protect themselves from the relentless Garand fire and then, at the right moment, to strike the Americans with surprise attacks. While these tactical changes reduced their casualties, they also meant losing the initiative on the battlefield. The M1 Garand was not only a weapon of war, but also a symbol of the industrial power and innovation of the United States. While Japan struggled to mass-produce simpler weapons, the United States was able to produce millions of Garands and deliver them to its soldiers. This ability to mass-produce was a decisive factor in the outcome of the war. American factories supplied war needs at an incredible speed, ensuring the Allies' logistical and weapons superiority. The ping Garand also became a cultural element of the war. For American soldiers, the sound could be both a warning that their rifle was empty, and a signal to their comrades that they could advance. Some Japanese soldiers even tried to trick American soldiers into thinking their rifles were empty by falsely yelling ping. This shows how deeply the sound had become ingrained in the minds of soldiers on both sides. The lessons learned from the M1 Garand extended beyond World War II. The success of this semi-automatic rifle paved the way for the development of subsequent generations of individual weapons. Armies around the world realized that the future lay in weapons with high rates of fire and automatic loading capabilities. This thinking led to the development of assault rifles such as the AK-47 and M16 in the post-World War II era, both of which utilized the philosophy of increased rate of fire and automatic firing capability. The M1 Garand has gone down in American and world military history as a legendary weapon. General George Patton called it the greatest tool of war ever invented. Not only did this rifle save the lives of thousands of American soldiers, but its technological superiority also became one of the main reasons for the Allied victory on various fronts, especially in the Pacific. The story of the Japanese soldiers' encounter with the M1 Garand is not just a story about a weapon, but also about the impact of technology on combat, the psychological impact on soldiers, and the lessons learned from the war that changed the course of future weapons development. This rifle will forever remain in history as a symbol of industrial excellence and engineering ingenuity. To fully appreciate the M1 Garand's greatness, it is necessary to place it alongside its contemporaries on the battlefield. While American forces and some of their allies were equipped with the M1 Garand, other armies were using bolt-action rifles or, at best, semi-automatic rifles of different designs. Despite its technological advances, Nazi Germany relied heavily on the bolt-action Mauser Karabiner 98K. It was a highly accurate and reliable weapon, but it still suffered from the limitations of its bolt-action rate of fire. Although the Germans developed the Gewehr 41 and Gewehr 43 semi-automatic rifles, these weapons never reached mass production and suffered from technical problems and manufacturing complexities. The only assault rifle that could rival the Garand in terms of rate of fire was the STG-44, but even that was only introduced late in the war and in limited numbers. The Soviets also used the Mosin Nagant bolt-action rifle. The SVT-40 semi-automatic rifle also existed, but its production and maintenance complexities meant that it never became as widespread as the Mosin Nagant. Thus, on the Eastern Front, Soviet soldiers did not have the firepower of semi-automatic rifles. This comparison shows that the M1 Garand was a technological leap forward for its time. It was not only superior in rate of fire, but also in reliability and durability. Its simple and robust mechanism enabled the Garand to perform well in the harshest environmental conditions, including mud, sand, and the intense humidity of the Pacific Ocean. This was vital for soldiers on the front lines. But a great weapon alone is not enough. Proper training and strong logistics were also essential to fully exploit the Garand's potential. The U.S. Army ran an extensive training program for its soldiers on the use and maintenance of the M1 Garand. Soldiers learned how to clean their rifles, how to use them in different situations, and how to take advantage of their rapid-fire capabilities. In addition, supplying ammunition for the Garand was a major logistical challenge. Each soldier with a Garand used far more ammunition than a soldier with a bolt-action rifle. This meant the need to produce and transport millions of .30-06 caliber rounds. The U.S. military supply chain, despite all the difficulties and challenges, was able to meet this enormous demand. This logistical capability was another testament to the industrial and organizational power of the United States. Without sufficient ammunition, even the best rifle in the world was useless. The experience with the Garand became an unforgettable memory for many American soldiers. Its ping sound, which was a warning to the Japanese, signaled the end of a magazine and the readiness to reload for the Americans. This sound became an integral part of the symphony of the war in the Pacific. In subsequent battles, such as Iwo Jima and Okinawa, where Japanese resistance reached its peak and they used deep and fortified defensive positions, the M1 Garand continued to play a vital role. Its ability to fire quickly and accurately helped the Americans gradually overcome the Japanese positions, even if this was accompanied by heavy casualties. The Garand's suppressive fire allowed soldiers to get close enough to use grenades, flamethrowers, and explosives to clear the trenches. Ultimately, the M1 Garand was not only a superior weapon, but also became an icon of the American infantrymen of World War II. Due to its reliability, firepower, and ease of use, the rifle became a key element in the United States military successes of the era, leaving a lasting impact on the history of warfare and the development of individual weapons. The story of the M1 Garand and the Japanese soldiers' encounter with it is not just the story of a particular weapon. It is, in fact, a metaphor for the profound and often unpredictable impact of technology on the fate of wars and human lives. World War II was, in the truest sense of the word, a technological war, in which scientific and engineering innovations, from radar and strategic bombers to submarines and code-breaking, played a decisive role. The M1 Garand was just one of these innovations, but at the infantry level it had a direct and tangible impact on the soldiers' daily lives. The experience once again revealed the harsh truth that in modern warfare, courage and sacrifice alone are not enough. Industrial strength, research and development capacity, and the ability to translate scientific ideas into effective tools of war are equally, and sometimes more, important. Japan, despite the exemplary fighting spirit of its soldiers and its deep-rooted military culture, ultimately failed to compete with the industrial and technological might of the United States and its allies. This imbalance was evident not only in individual rifles, but also in aircraft, ships, and even communication systems. The psychological impact of this technological superiority was something that could not be ignored. Imagine fighting on the battlefield, fighting with all your might, but knowing that your enemy had a decisive advantage not only in numbers but also in equipment. This knowledge could weaken morale and create a sense of hopelessness. In contrast, American soldiers, relying on their Garand, felt a sense of power and superiority, which helped to boost their morale and self-confidence. This psychological warfare of technological superiority was as effective as bullets and bombs in determining the outcome of battles. These lessons extended beyond World War II. During and after the Cold War, the arms race between the great powers was based heavily on technological innovation. Each country sought to maintain or gain military superiority by developing ever more advanced weapons. From intercontinental ballistic missiles to stealth fighters and missile defense systems, they all bear witness to the fact that technology is the backbone of modern military power. But humanity must not be forgotten. Behind every gun, every plane, and every bomb are people whose lives are forever affected by war. The Japanese soldiers, despite all their cultural and ideological differences, were human beings fighting in harsh and brutal conditions. Their encounter with the M1 Garand was not only a tactical challenge, but a profound human experience that forced them to rethink their views on war and the enemy. The story is also a reminder of the importance of peace and the avoidance of conflict. When advanced technology is used to destroy, the consequences can be devastating. Millions of people died in World War II, and many more lived forever with the physical and psychological scars of war. Despite its vital role in the Allied victory, the M1 Garand was still an instrument of death, a tool designed to kill. Ultimately, the story of the M1 Garand and its impact on Japanese soldiers is not just a case study in military history, but a window into a deeper understanding of the dynamics of war, the role of technology in it, and its human consequences. It reminds us how a seemingly simple innovation can bring about major changes on the battlefield. and how the lessons learned from those changes can change the course of history. This story is more about the power of innovation, the limits of sheer bravery, and the human cost of war than it is about a gun. The bitter experience of facing the M1 Garand and the technological superiority of the Allies had profound lessons for Japan. After its defeat in World War II and occupation by Allied forces, Japan was forced to adopt a new constitution that permanently renounced the right to war and allowed only the existence of self-defense forces for defensive purposes. This fundamental shift in military philosophy was directly influenced by the devastation of the war and a deep realization of its inability to compete with the great industrial powers. Even within the confines of defense, however, the technological lessons of the war were not forgotten. Once vulnerable to the Garand due to its reliance on the cumbersome Arisaka rifle, Japan realized the importance of investing in research and development and the production of more advanced weapons. Although Japan, initially as an ally of the United States, used American weapons such as the M1 Garand, given as military aid to the Japanese self-defense forces, and then the M14 after the war, it gradually began to develop its own individual rifles. It has also become an icon of the American soldier in popular culture. The M1 Garand has featured prominently in countless films, television series, video games, and documentaries about World War II. Its famous ping sound has become an iconic element, instantly recognizable to military history enthusiasts. For many, the rifle is a reminder of the courage, sacrifice, and determination of Allied soldiers in one of the greatest conflicts in human history. For collectors and gun enthusiasts, the M1 Garand is a valuable piece of history. Its simplicity, beauty, and rich history have made it one of the most beloved classic weapons. Every Garand has a story of war and peace. In the end, the M1 Garand was more than a rifle. It was a symbol of innovation, a lesson in war tactics, and a reminder of the profound impact technology has had on human destiny. It helped shape new defense philosophies, influenced the development of future weapons, and is forever etched in the collective memory as the greatest tool of war. Its story is one that must be told for future generations so that the importance of peace, the power of innovation, and the human cost of war are never forgotten. During this journey, we passed through the bloody plains of the Pacific, through muddy trenches and tropical islands that became brutal battlefields. We witnessed the moment when Japanese soldiers discovered the truth, the moment when the metallic ping of an unknown rifle became not just an alien sound, but an echo of the enemy's technological superiority and the prelude to the inevitable fate of war. This story, more than just a weapon, is a story of the clash of cultures, the difference in industrial capabilities, and the profound impact of innovation on human destiny. The M1 Garand, in all its simplicity and efficiency, was not just a tool of war, but became a symbol of a new era in warfare. An era in which rate of fire, reliability, and the ability to mass produce were as important in determining the outcome of battles as individual courage and determination. While the Japanese soldiers, with their bolt-action rifles, symbolized tradition and fighting spirit, the American soldiers, with their Garands, represented the industrial age and technological progress. The contrast was evident in every shot, in every ping, and in every casualty on the battlefield. The psychological impact of this superiority was undeniable. The ping of the Garand, which for the Americans signaled the end of a magazine, became for the Japanese a brief opportunity to attack, but at the same time a bitter reminder of their weakness. The sound became one of the symbols of the Pacific War, a sound that was etched in the memories of soldiers on both sides and echoed in their minds for years after the war ended. These moments show us how a seemingly small detail can have a huge impact on morale and tactics. The lessons learned from the M1 Garand went beyond the battlefields of World War II. It paved the way for the development of subsequent generations of individual weapons and convinced armies around the world that the future lay in semi-automatic and automatic rifles. From the Soviet AK-47 to the American M16, all inherited Garand's philosophy of increasing rate of fire and reliability. The rifle helped shape new military doctrines and made the concept of firepower a central pillar of modern military strategy. For Japan, the M1 Garand experience became a catalyst for a rethinking of its defense and industrial philosophy. After the war, Japan not only turned to peace, but also realized the importance of investing in technology and innovation. The indigenous Japanese rifles developed after the war were all inspired by the lessons learned from the Garand, emphasizing quality, accuracy, and rate of fire. The country transformed from an aggressive military power to a peaceful economic and technological power. But the lessons of technological superiority were never forgotten. Today, the M1 Garand is not only a historical piece in museums and private collections, but also a cultural icon. Its presence in films, games, and documentaries has made it an integral part of the narrative of World War II. The rifle is a reminder of the bravery of soldiers, the ingenuity of engineers, and the human cost of war. Every time it goes ping, it is a reminder of a story of steel, blood, and lessons that humanity must never forget. Ultimately, the story of the M1 Garand and the Japanese soldiers' encounter with it is a story that reminds us that war is a complex and multifaceted phenomenon in which technological, human, psychological, and logistical factors all intertwine. It teaches us how a single innovation can change the course of history, and how the lessons learned from these changes can shape the future. May these lessons always remain in our minds so that we may appreciate peace and always seek ways to resolve differences without resorting to violence. The echo of the Garand's ping is not only a war cry, but a warning to the future. And so it was with the M1 Garand, a rifle that transformed the battlefields of World War II and left a lasting impression on history and the morale of soldiers. We hope you enjoyed this deep journey into the heart of one of humanity's most important conflicts and the impressive details of an iconic weapon. We tried to cover not only the technological aspects but also the human dimensions of this historic encounter and share with you the lessons learned from it. Thank you for sticking with us until the end of this video. Your support motivates us to produce more quality and engaging content for you. If you like this video, please like it and share it with your friends. Your opinions and views are very valuable to us, so let us know in the comments section what you think, what parts you found most interesting, and what other historical topics you would like us to explore in the future. For more videos about history, technology, and untold stories, be sure to subscribe to our channel and activate the bell next to it so you don't miss any of our new videos. Until the next video, take care of yourself and continue exploring the wonderful world of history. Bye.